Hello and welcome to 4,000 and Counting, brought to you by Hurricane E-Bikes. I'm Watty, that is Mark, and today we are joined by Guildford Flames netminder Adam Long. Adam, first of all, can't thank you enough for stepping up and filling in on the charity game. Huge respect for that. And secondly, I just want to welcome you to the 4,000 and Counting podcast, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all. Enjoyed it. Don't really play in too many of those things, so it was good to get out with people, especially that I haven't seen for a long time. And yeah, just enjoy being around Slough. And I don't even think I've been to Slough for quite a while now, so that was nice getting into the smaller ice and enjoying that. But yeah, glad to be on.
Well, it's pre-season come slash first week of the season, which means pre-season's under the belt. How was the running? How was everything that went with it? Because we know our boy Roop, previous podcast guest, he was going to put you fellas through the mill. How did you get on?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, with the 30-degree heat, it made it a lot harder. Yeah, we have a lot of fitness tests. I know speaking from a few guys around the league, it sounds like we definitely had the worst end of it. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. When you want to play hockey full time, you can't really complain for 2 days of testing. The rest of it kind of balances out and you can enjoy that. But yeah, it was good. I mean, the guys all look in great shape, a lot better than last year. And I didn't think it was possible, but the guys actually look quicker this year too. So I was speaking to Sully on after the Manchester game on Saturday, and even he said he didn't think our team could get any quicker. But yeah, he was. I don't think he was too happy with it. He said every time he lifted his head up, there was a guy on him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Manchester this weekend went well. We won both games. It was kind of nice too because I know we went 3-0 down as well in Manchester, which is kind of shows the boys are resilient and that they're going to be able to fight back if we do go down. So that's kind of nice to see from the start.
The
When did you actually get
sorry,
into
Mark.
when did you actually get into training this year? When did
We
you start?
started the first week of September, so was it about the 4th of September? I think we had a week training with all our testing, a few workouts, and then we had the weekend off where we just had a few team events like meet the fans, and then we had a team barbecue, and then yeah, just another week of training into the games. So it's weird because we only have two preseason games, whereas I know some teams are playing like I know Cardiff they've played about 6 or 8 games already, and we have them
Yeah.
on Saturday, so that's going to be interesting. But I mean, maybe it'll work in our favour the least amount of games possible.
How much attention do you pay to Elite League Twitter?
Not
Have you?
not too much
I
really.
just wanted to ask you. You touched on Cardiff. Obviously, Cardiff played Sheffield at the weekend. Our boy Tansy makes a hit, maybe slightly late. Nothing too bad. Riley Brand jumps in, does his job. Again, nothing really in it. Elite League fans are calling for career-ending hits. That they want guys hung, drawn, and quartered. Like some of the takes this year is ridiculous. But what I have noticed, the Guildford fans tend to stay away from that. Is that good for you guys that your fans aren't on Twitter are being absolute helmets every night?
Yeah, I think so. But then I think, yeah, I mean, obviously I played in Manchester for 2 years, and when I was there, I kind of worked for the team, so I had a lot of like fan interaction and stuff like that because I was part of like all the schools and the groups coming in. And so obviously I still see it now. I see all the comments. I know a lot of them are slating their goalie after this weekend, and to be honest, he was probably their best player. So I don't understand a lot of hockey fans, but yeah, Guildford fans are it's kind of like they're non-existent in a way. They don't really have much of a social media presence. I don't know if that's just because it's generally probably older people. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it is kind of nice. But as a player, I guess if you're looking at that stuff, then you've got to be prepared to take it, haven't you? So, and if
Oh
you
yeah.
can't take it, then don't look. So that's the way I think of it. But I don't look at it too much. Every now and again, I like to have a look, especially if something's happened. But yeah, them hits. I mean, for pre-season, it's probably a bit wild to be throwing hits like that. And there's a lot of fights this year for pre-season. I remember looking at the Peterborough stuff and all that, which has been a bit different this year. But I guess it adds excitement. It's bringing people back in, and that's what everyone wants to see. It's entertainment at the end of the day, isn't it?
G's me up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mark, what about you?
Yeah, that's what we all want to see. I want to see it building up into a season anyway.
Yeah, of course. Like, and I'm not talking, and again, I know some people will be watching along and they don't like the fighting side of it, tough shit. Um, it's always going to have a place in the game, and a bit of passion here or there, get a spark. There's like already there's, and I don't know how this could work. Already there's talk like the fans are going, "Oh, what are Belfast going to do now that Cardiff and Sheffield are now rivals. Belfast are going to be left out. I was like, it's been one weekend of fucking pre-season games, man. Chill out. Like, these guys have been battling it out for trophies for like the last 8 years. It's going to take more than a pre-season game and a bit of a face wash and a little bit of blood to switch a rivalry over.
Yeah, exactly. Like even with us with Cardiff, like last year, all our games against Cardiff were feisty and a few fights. I know Ripper and Brandt had a little
Did they? Yeah.
and I think Knowles had one with someone else. I can't remember who it was. So yeah, they're always interesting. But I mean, with that cup competition, we play them 10 times. So when you play a team 10 times in a season, there's a lot of built up anger and stuff, I guess, there that builds over the 10 games.
10 games. That's wild, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, we played 10 against Coventry and Cardiff.
Wow. So, and with the Elite League and with the budgets and the differences and stuff like that, not so bad for the Guildford Cardiff connection, but you could see, well, you do see it. Belfast have Fife and Dundee in their group, right, for the Challenge Cup. Imagine if you're fucking Fife and Dundee, you got to play Belfast 10 times over the course of the year.
Yeah, I don't know how theirs works because obviously they have 4 teams in their group, so I don't know if they play games. But like our cup group, I think we played Cardiff and twice home, twice away. I'm same with Coventry, but I think they definitely need to look into restructuring it because like with the way the cup works too, the top seeded team gets home advantage all the time.
Yeah.
And like, let's be honest, it's always going to be Belfast. Like, nothing against the Scottish teams. At Glasgow look a lot better this year. So did Dundee and Fife. They all look a lot. Everyone looks good this year. Everyone's signing more experienced guys, but I think it's just set up for Belfast to succeed in it. Obviously, like Nottingham, Sheffield, Manchester. That's a tough group because obviously Nottingham and Sheffield are the arena teams, and then Manchester's not an easy place to go and play away in. That ring's not very nice. And then obviously with us, we have Cardiff and Coventry too. That's such an open thing. Me and Hooky were actually speaking about this morning. We were saying that maybe it'd be better to split it into 2 groups. Groups of 5. You just play 1 home, 1 away against each team, and then the top 4 go through or something like that.
Into the quarterfinals. It gives you an extra like round of games, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe they draw it like Champions League does, where they pick the balls out the hats and okay, the first ball gets home advantage and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously Belfast had home ice advantage against, was it Fife last year in the final?
Yes.
Which I mean, like that's again, I don't think anyone should have home ice advantage. I think they should pick a neutral venue, and they should play there. I guess for spectators it's harder because they got to travel and stuff, but at least it gives a fair opportunity then for both teams to do well in it. I mean, let's be honest, anyone going into Belfast is not gonna struggle, but they're always going to be seen as the underdogs and going to be way off the pace. I think
it was 8-3, was it?
Yeah, something crazy like that.
8-9-3. That like it was a considerable difference.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, fair play to Fife. I think they went to Sheffield and held on to the lead they got in Fife, which is obviously that's hard to do it in itself. But yeah, I think the cup definitely needs restructuring. I know a lot of the imports they don't understand that cup competition at all because I guess they don't get that in North America and stuff. So I think they'd all love the cup to be washed out and maybe a longer playoff series, which I guess I wouldn't be against it, but then I guess it doesn't sell. The cup final kind of sells tickets and brings money in, doesn't it? So,
well, longer. Mine and Mark's take. We've had this conversation. Mark probably go back 6-7 months, maybe longer. Probably when we had Franny on, actually, way back. So, what we would like to see done. So these first 3-4 weeks now, the cup games get played.
Yeah.
Whether that be in the format that you said, 2 groups, or whether it's the format of 3 groups, but either way, by the end of September, start of October, those games are done. You then can have instead of playoff finals weekend, you have your Challenge Cup final weekend. So you still have the 4 teams, you still go and do it in Nottingham or wherever it may be. Then roll round to March, April. And we start with some 3-game series, some 5-game series, some 7-game series, whatever it may be, but more than the home and away aggregate score. That way we could start seeing some longer playoff series. Now, the argument that we've always heard is, booking out the arenas, etc. I do get it. I do get there's some logistical nightmares. But for the hockey player and for your North American teammates, do you think they would prefer that scenario?
Yeah, 100%. I think like that. Plus, like they live for the playoffs. Obviously, like the Stanley Cup's bigger than winning the NHL league itself, isn't it? So they come over and they can't believe that the league's the thing everyone wants to win here because they just don't get it. But then when we explain that our playoffs is 4 games to win the playoffs, they can't. Like obviously they can 4 games only wins them one series. Like
Yeah.
so they can't believe how short it is. But then I guess with it being so short, it has the excitement with the fans and stuff like that, which I completely understand. And yeah, like you said, with the ice time, I know it's hard to get ice time. Even in the summer, like I was trying to get ice time, and it's impossible. So I can only imagine during the season, once you've got all the juniors, the women's teams, all the other senior teams, rec teams, then it can be really hard. But yeah, I definitely think there could be some changes made to the playoff structure and the cup structure that might benefit all the teams and the fans too. So yeah, I'm not sure what the league ever think about it or what their discussions are, but I'm sure they always discuss this stuff.
If you're allowed to comment, I'm not so sure, but what did you think to the statement from Guildford with regards to the Champions Hockey League?
If I'm honest, I don't even think I read it. I just got told our players.
You're not going.
You just got told that we're not playing in it, which I guess being part of the team last year, it is a bit gutting because we've worked hard. Okay, we didn't quite get it over the line when it came to the end, and we had a disappointing playoffs, but that's still like an achievement in itself to put Guildford into European hockey. I mean, it's like football right now, isn't it? Newcastle playing in the Champions League. It's such a big thing for them to get into those competitions. And the fact Guildford have been in the Elite League, what, six years now, is it?
Yeah.
They've come second in the league and been given a European spot is kind of massive. I understand the logistics behind it, I guess, with the travel and having a weekend off, you then got to reschedule games. And I know the Spectrum isn't the easiest place to probably do that with it being so busy and always having about 400 people on the ice for their public skates.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously, as a player, yeah, it's disappointing, but it is what it is. I mean, we just hope this season we can go and actually get over the line and win something. That's the main thing.
So you got to be part of that battle where yourselves and Belfast, they're in the mix. We're running into February sort of time. And it come down to probably the last fortnight of the season. I came to a game maybe 3 weeks out. I believe you had Coventry at home on a Wednesday night, and they just signed a Hungarian kid, and he was lights out. You lost 4-1. And I went round to see the referees, so I was sat in the room. Having played for Digger, I know he's not much of a shouter, but you could hear from through the referees room, he had a few fucking choice words for the boys after that performance, because in a title running, it quite simply wasn't good enough. Was that the straw that kind of broke that camel's back, that loss at home, that couple of weeks out, where it just allowed Belfast that little bit of wiggle room?
If I'm honest, I think it came before that. Over Christmas on Boxing Day, we lost back-to-back to Manchester, which obviously, I mean, if we'd have won at home against Manchester, then we'd have been tied on points with Belfast. So I think that was probably the turning point, maybe. Losing back-to-back to Manchester is, I guess that's from the position we were in, that's 4 points lost. So I think that obviously didn't help. But then, yeah, our home form, I think towards the end of the year, we really struggled. I can't remember who else it was, but yeah, Coventry came in and beat us. And I think a couple of other teams right at the end, towards the end of the year, came in and beat us. On the road, we were pretty good. I mean, we walked into Sheffield last year and won 3 out of 3. We didn't lose any games to any Scottish teams last year, which is obviously massive. That's a big boost. I think we were 3-0 against Belfast at the start of the year too, which
really
teams go there. We went to Belfast and won, then obviously beat them at home and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely tough to take. Like we were saying in the room the other day, like you win those 2 Manchester games over Christmas, which you're expected to win.
Yeah.
And we've won the league by 2 points, even with the other losses. But yeah, it is tough. But I guess that's the game, isn't it? That's why you keep coming back and playing and the excitement of it. And it was nice to actually be in the hunt to actually win. Guildford had always seen as a 4th, 5th place team. And I think we proved last year that you don't need to have the big arena to be able to compete. You don't need to have the 5, 6, 7,000 people in the stands to be able to compete. And as long as you've got the right guys in with the right attitude, then anything's possible.
Your owner
Who's the
just needs to
joker in
be.
the locker room?
Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say you don't have to have all that, but your owner just needs to be a partner in Morgan Stanley Bank, and you'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, you don't need 7,000 seats. You just need to be partner in one of the biggest banks on the planet.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Go on, ask your question.
Who's the joker in the locker room this year?
Oh, I think we have a lot of those this year. Benny's always up there. He's always bubbly and loud, and you guys know what Benny's like. He's
Class clown, isn't he?
Yeah, he just loves it. He loves being with the boys, and I guess it's all he's ever known, really, isn't it? So I think he was saying from the age of like 16, he played or 14 or something. He might have played in the British Division One. I think he was saying the other day, and
then he
so
did all the OHL side as well, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's always one of the louder ones in the room. Kyle Locke, he's another loud one in the room. He's a big character. He likes to put his 5 pence into every conversation. Alex Yule, actually, he's not the loudest of guys, but he's just like sneaky funny. Just whatever, he has these little one-liners that he'll throw in there every now and again, and it just has everyone in stitches. He's pretty funny. I lived with Locker and Yuli my first year, so I saw it firsthand with them two straight out of college because they were roommates at college and played on the same team and stuff. So that was a good environment to be in. But yeah, we actually have.
So was your house like a frat house or what?
Oh yeah, it was.
Was it gross?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was we had a few noise complaints from the neighbours, so we had to address that one early on. But yeah, it was a good laugh.
Are you still all in like the housing estate next to each other? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in the street where we have 4 houses, and then the street next door we have all the houses on that street. So it's kind of nice because you get to have all the barbecues and team barbecues on the street, and you haven't really got to worry because there's no neighbors there. You can all just like have a laugh and enjoy that. It's nice being close together too. Like when I played in Manchester, I was in the Brit House as we called it, and we were like everyone was spread out the year I was there. I'm not sure their situation now, but we were near the airport, so we were like good 25-30 minutes away in the morning to the rink, which you feel so isolated being out there because you're not near anything. It takes a while to get everywhere, and at least here, like everyone's involved. Like we have an open door policy. Everyone's just in and out constantly through your door and stuff like that. So it's always a good laugh here.
Does Digger ever come round and check on you boys and make sure you're fucking towing the party line or what?
He doesn't. I think, you know what, Digger's actually really good with that. I think he's played in himself and he understands it. So he likes to have that fine line between the boys having fun, and he made sure like everyone knows the time and the place to go out and have fun, which everyone wants to do. It's part of it, but at the same time, he doesn't mind the guys doing that as long as we turn up every day, give 100%, work our bags off, get a good sweat, and then get out of there. So yeah, he's good with that. Like I say, he's played himself. He understands everything, even with Brits, imports, and everything like that. And yeah, he is very good with that stuff.
Mark, sorry, I thought you were going to say something there.
Yeah, I mean, after such a solid season, you must have really high expectations going into this one. Is there a lot of targets within the organisation this year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, looking at our team so far, and like I was saying with the fitness testing, everyone is in way better shape this year. We've made a lot of additions, which I think have strengthened the team massively. Like at the weekend, we didn't play power play or anything like that. We just rolled our 4 lines, and obviously we got both wins, which is massive. So I'm actually kind of excited to see this weekend against Cardiff and Sheffield, and with our like power plays and stuff and penalty kills, what we're going to do. But yeah, definitely. I mean, we're out to win everything this year. That's the goal. We came close to it all last year, so why not push it over the line this year and get it done?
How often do you boys actually train then during the week?
So the last few weeks we've trained Monday to Friday just to kind of get our legs going and get the boys going. But yeah, during the season we normally just skate Tuesday to Friday, so we'll skate 4 days a week. It's normally around like an hour's practice, just over an hour, and then we have some free time and stuff. But Root this year has got us in the gym a lot, so we have workouts, and not proper workouts or every day, but we have some sort of workout, whether it's like a plyometrics run, like agility runs, or in the gym. So yeah, with 4 days a week, we're in on the ice and in the gym. Mondays being our only day off.
So,
go on.
go on.
Do you follow a particular? Do you follow that particular diet at all? Fucking hell!
Yeah,
My words came out
Right,
really bad.
do you want to try that again, mate? Go on.
Nah, I'm buckled. Nah, go on.
yeah. Well, we have like a app.
Sorry, Adam.
That's the first time I've done that on the
That
pod.
is the first time you've done it. That's why I'm fucking laughing at this. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, we have like an
Sorry
app
about that.
that we use. I think I can't remember the name of it. Train Heroic or something like that. I think it's
That's
called.
exactly what he uses.
Yeah, yeah. So we have an app. He puts the workouts on there on set days. We don't have to do them on set days. It's as and when we want to do them. Obviously, some guys like to do it on a Monday just to get their legs moving rather than sitting at home all day, or if they're not playing golf or anything. So yeah, everything gets put on there. We do have obviously a schedule with like the plyometric stuff that we do in like the sports halls. There is like a team. So like today we split forwards and D, goalies and D, sorry, and then forwards into two different workouts, and then we'll do another one on Thursday with a full team, which is like a lot of mobility stuff, a bit of plyometrics, a bit of fun. Like it's kind of like a school PE lesson again. So it's kind of
You're on the
nice.
balance beams.
Yeah, you get a bit of competitiveness in the games. We normally do like old guys v young guys or something, so that always gets the boys moving without really knowing it. But yeah, it is good fun. It's everything like that. Yeah, we're working hard, but at the same time, the boys are having fun. We got the music blasting, and just yeah, good atmosphere to be around.
Funny you say about the old guys v young guys. So when I was in Guildford, Wednesday used to be cross ice scrimmage day because I don't know if you know this, we didn't have full ice. There was a fucking public skate going on in 3/4 of the ice, and they would just put boards and nets along the blue line. So you couldn't have a practice, but 3-on-3, mate, was the most intense practice of any of my years training because it was playing for keeps. Like guys are blocking shots, goalie lets one in. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like it was mad intense, like because it was young guys, old guys.
We do a lot of games like that. Like last year we had a lot of optional sessions on like Tuesdays, or they'd have like a light skate and we'd split into 3-4 teams, and whether it's 3-on-3 in zone or cross ice, and that's always a good laugh. There's a lot of controversy with Digger and Hemmer as refs. They're they're a bit suspect at times, but it gets everyone screaming and shouting and making noise, which is what it's all about. So yeah, we do a lot of that stuff.
How's my boy Hemmer getting on now that he's stepped up with the Flames? Obviously, he played for the Flames when I was there. I actually got him. Well, I got him in contact with my mum, which started his conference career as a coach, and then he went on and he did all like the under 17s and stuff. Went on to the Guildford Phoenix. He's now stepped up with a big club. How's he getting on? Is he chatting in the room? Is he good with you guys? What's his kind of role within the organization?
Yeah, Hammer's great. I mean, he does a lot of the backroom stuff as well as on the ice with us, and obviously on the bench, he's very vocal too. Yeah, he's just Mr. Motivator. Hammer, he always comes in with a big smile on his face. He's always the first person to crack jokes and have a laugh and stuff like that with the boys. Yeah, he's good to have around. Obviously, with my first year in Guildford, he wasn't really coaching because he was with the Phoenix, so it's kind of nice to have that extra like person there to oversee the game, and he now controls I think he does the defense and Digger does forward. So I guess that helps Digger too because he can kind of focus on one thing and Hemmer can focus on the other. But yeah, he's a good laugh. He's always stood there trying to shoot the puck through the little hole in the glass. He said he reckons he gets it all the time, but I did it with him last week and I didn't see him do it once. So I need to keep watching him to make sure he's not lying to me.
How obviously you talked on like the housing situation. How's it been? Obviously, you just got in there, but you got a new roommate, Mr. Lewis Hook. How's it living with Hooky?
Yeah, it's really good. Obviously, when I first started hockey, me and Hooky were in the same team growing up for the first couple of years before I moved away to Chelmsford. So it's kind of nice because this is the first time we've actually played together since probably like under 16s, I think it was, before I moved away. So it's been a lot of times playing against each other and a lot of battles and stuff. We obviously through the summers we kept in contact and we played golf and work out or whatever we do, go partying with all our boys back home. But yeah, it's good living with him. Obviously our girlfriends like knowing each other too. That's kind of nice to it kind of like we've lived with each other before in a way because we've just kind of come in just and got on with it straight away, which obviously when you meet new guys, especially if they're like Canadian and Americans, then it's a bit different because they come from like different backgrounds and cultures and stuff like that. Like the boys we have next to us, they just bought a fire pit and they're
Oh,
actually
yeah.
outside in the garden right now with a fire cooking and probably a beer in hand, I'm sure. But yeah, it's great. It's good to be back on a team with him. It's been a long time. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So obviously, Hooky being a Brit, yourself, Griff, Ben. I'm trying to think if there's any others.
Sammy Talbot.
Sammy Talbot, the new young pup.
Oh yeah.
So Mark and I, we've been talking, and obviously, like anyone we've had on, the import numbers have gone up. Mark, you got some questions for him or what?
Yeah, do you agree with the import numbers? Do you think it's too high, or do you think it should be lower?
It's hard. I guess it depends which way you look at it, because at the end of the day, like people always say, the elite league's a business, right? People say it's not a development league. So I guess if you look at it as a business front, you want the best hockey possible. And it's not that Brits can't do it. I guess a lot of people get the excitement of, oh, these guys have played in this league, this league, this league, get ex-NHLers coming over and playing and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely think they need to, for British hockey's sake and GB, I think they definitely need to maybe drop it, even if they only drop it by like 3, and get a few extra Brits in. Just gives them
That'd
more.
be what, 13 and 7 then, would it?
Yeah, which is
Well,
still.
we 16 and 5 now, so 13 and 8.
Is it 14 or 15 now?
I think it's 16 now, mate. I think it's it's up there.
Yeah, we have obviously a few spares too, so I'm not. I can't remember.
To be fair, Guildford had spares when I played in the EPL. Mate.
Yeah,
we had 6.
Yeah, I remember. I was in Peterborough then. I was on the other end of it. But yeah, I think, I don't know. The thing that annoyed me most this summer was, I think I tweeted about it a little bit, was the import goalies in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I'm glad no team's done it yet, but I have a feeling that at some point I feel like one of them might bring someone in maybe halfway through the year.
If the wheels are falling off.
Yeah, just like a panic button kind of. But before this summer, like I never saw anyone complaining about Brit goalies in that league. So I don't understand why people jump the gun straight away to get import goalies in that league. Like, it's going to be hard for GB like coming up, because it's hard for Brit goalies to find ice time anywhere. If they're going to start bringing in imports like they did in the EPL, then the Brit goalies are going to go to the NIHL 1, which, I mean, as long as you're playing, it's still good to get ice time, and there's still great players in that league. Because
why choose Hurricane e-bikes? Well, let me tell you, no servicing cost, no need to buy, no interest cost, no long-term agreement, no maintenance cost, no worries, because all their products come with a lifetime warranty. Hurricane are in fact the only company within the UK to offer a lifetime warranty on LCD screens, batteries, motors, all components. Guess what? Ordering from Hurricane couldn't be any easier. You just go across to hurricane.ebikes on their website, and all you got to do is literally head to the website, select your bike, add your accessories, confirm your details, and it's on its way over to you. My personal favorites are the M250 mountain bike, the M350 off-road mountain bike, and the big daddy of them all, the RS8 off-road bike. It is a beast. You can get yours from as little as £1.85 per day. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Hurricane e-bikes now and take advantage of some fantastic deals.
Players will start dropping down, but when you compare to GB level to NIHL 1, the gap's that big that you're not going to be able to compete. Like, I went to them university games in 2017 and 2019, and the level of that compared to what even the EPL that I was playing in at the time was so big.
How was the sunburn from the red light after that fucking trip?
Oh yeah, it wasn't fun.
it was on 24/7, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, the first year we went, we didn't actually do too bad. I think we had a few heavy defeats. But like the Kazakhstan team we played, they had like half a team were like in the VHL and the other half were in the KHL, and
you got guys from NIHL 2 North, from like Altrincham Aces 2. You're like, what's going on here?
We had some rec guys, like they just play uni hockey in our team, and like not anything against them, like
no, of course.
To them, they've got into the team, but when you're playing against guys that are going into the KHL, and like I spoke to the Russian coach at the time, in my first year I went when they were there, and he was saying like they use the university games as like a platform for their national team. So a lot of their top guys, they don't even study. They get given 3 degrees because they're in the KHL setups. They might have to maybe do the odd little thing here and there, but they don't study full time. They just play hockey, and then they use that tournament to send all the younger guys ready. So the Kazakhstan team we played against, I think like half of their team now is in their main national team competing in like the World Championships or Div 1 or whatever they're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an experience. I think my first game we played against Canada, which had a few like that Alex Yule on my team now. He was in that Canada team. Tristan
Right.
Fry was with us last year. He was in it too. I think we probably lost about 10-1 or something like that. But I came off halfway through, and I think I'd had about 60 shots in about 32 minutes or
So
something.
yeah, I've done
Like
two games worth of work in 28 minutes. I'm done.
yeah,
Like.
which is crazy. But like, it was kind of good because the first year we went, we beat Korea,
Yeah.
which GB team, we'd never won a game from what I got told in them tournaments before. So we managed to beat Korea. I don't know how, but somehow we did it. The puck didn't leave our end, but the boys
That's
just
greasy.
boxed it out. And yeah, I think we scored 3 breakaways off the rush or something. And then yeah, the second year we beat Sweden, but then again, Sweden, they were pretty similar to us. I think there were a lot of like their beer leaguers and like just uni hockey guys, because I guess they're not the people studying over there. They're not in the SHL and stuff like that, are they? They don't need to study. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, that program, it could be such a good program if everyone got on board with it. It definitely needs a lot of work, I think, behind the scenes to kind of boost it up. And from speaking to the guys that are kind of running it now or trying to run it, they are trying to do that. They're trying to get a lot more of the younger kids that have played abroad, or I know, is it Kyle Watson? He's playing in college.
Yep.
I think he's 3 or something like that now. He went last year, and stuff like that. So it's good to see now that they're getting more and more people in. Like, I guess it's hard because the elite league probably look at it and think, well, we don't want to lose our guys if they're studying because you're away for 2 weeks and it's right in the middle of the season. I think it was February when I went.
Yeah.
But at the time I was in Manchester, so it didn't really matter too much because they could just get another Brit to kind of fill in while I was away. But yeah, I think if they can put a bit more time and effort and maybe a bit more money into it through like the Bucks and the university side of it, I'd definitely recommend it to anyone. It's probably 2 of the best trips I've ever been on. Like Kazakhstan, for example, they built everything for us. So all the accommodation, it was like an athlete's village that you go into.
Yeah,
It was all
wicked.
brand new. Everyone was in one place. It had like common rooms where you'd go play Xbox.
I thought he was going to say condoms. Then I was going to say sounds like the actual Olympics.
Yeah, we would.
That's a notorious thing about the Olympics, isn't it? Apparently, everyone's just fucking banging, just horny, young, shredded athletes just banging the living shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you've got all that the skiers from like Austria and Sweden and places like that there, and everyone's in the same place. You go down to the common rooms and everyone's sat watching TV. Like we were playing Xbox, I think, with like Latvian guys and stuff like that. It's a great atmosphere, and I think that back then they had like VR headsets because they were sponsored by PlayStation. That was when they were like quite new. So that was like pretty cool, like literally everything. Although we went into one of the like cafes that they have in the like the village, and I bought this pizza and he kept saying chicken, and I'm looking thinking this isn't chicken. And then eventually one of the Kazakh boys came in and he like translated what the sign said, and it was like horse meat on a pizza. So that was interesting. I mean,
sign me up, let's go.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that bad. It's just like a gristly beef.
Yeah, well, we was eating it in this country for about four years. The old Findus crispy pancake before anyone went. Awesome. By the way, that beef's horse. I was like, I don't care. Like I'm gonna come in from the pub and put 2 of them and 2 thick slices of white bread, and horse or not, I'm going to town on that shit. Yeah. But obviously, we wanted to talk about that experience. It's nonetheless, whatever it is, it's putting the national team jersey on. How cool of a moment is it, especially when you actually beat Korea? They do the national anthem and you kind of all stood out there together. You got your flag on your shirt. How special is that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I started hockey quite late. I didn't start till I was like 14 anyway. So like I never really got a chance in like the England or the GB setup. So for me to be able to go and do that, like it's something I've always wanted to do and never unfortunately got the chance. But going to them, yeah, it was something else. I mean, the first year I went, I was probably playing like the best hockey I was playing at the time. Like I had regular minutes. I think I played 27 games in the EPL that year. So I was kind of like ready to go, and I had a great tournament, and like that career game that's probably the best game I've ever played in my life. Like I think just pure adrenaline of of like being there with the boys, and we knew we could beat Korea because we'd obviously watched them before. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but we knew like their level, like if we was going to win a game, that was going to be the one. And that game actually qualified us to go back 2 years later, which
Oh,
obviously
amazing.
I was in the other team. So like
Decent.
all the boys that could go back for the second year, it was such a big thing. I don't think we've ever partied so hard after that, especially in a country like Kazakhstan, when I think we bought a bottle of absinthe for about £3.50 or whatever it was in a
It's
bar.
the
And
most student drink ever.
oh yeah, we went a bit crazy, but yeah, like it's kind of cool too because it's like the Olympics. Like they look at us as like celebrities. Like you're walking around like at the village and you have all like the people that help out, and they're all like wanting pictures. And with GB, like being GB, they love GB. I don't know what it is about our country, but they just love us. Even in Russia, like we got told to obviously be a bit careful because of everything going on and that stuff, but they loved us. Like it's like GB is such a big country, even with hockey. It's like every like supporter, unless they were supporting the team we were playing against, they were all on our side. They were chanting like "Let's go GB" and stuff. Like it was a pretty cool experience because such a like so far away from home to have everyone supporting you as well. It was it was a great experience. I'm kind of gutted I didn't get to go to the last one in Lake Placid. That would have been pretty cool place to go to, but I think I went to Kazakhstan and Russia, so it's a bit of a downgrade. I think the next one might be in Italy or somewhere like that. So that's going to be pretty cool to go to. I'm actually spoke to one of the coaches, and depending on what I'm doing hockey wise, I might try and go as a coach or something in the
Yeah,
future
cool.
and enjoy that. Hopefully,
That's going to roll me back to something you just said there. You started late. You didn't get a chance to do the national like under 16s, under 18s, all that sort of stuff because you did start at 14. How the fuck do you start playing hockey at 14?
um, well,
So late. It's so
one of my
late.
mates kind of got me into it that I went to school with. We kind of got skating for his birthday, and then we saw the game advertised. I think it was like Stephen Wall at the time that was playing for Phantoms, and just I don't know. I went to one game and that was it. I quit football, and I was actually like trialing and like going with Cambridge United football team at the time, like their youth academy, and I was like said to my parents, I was like,
Mark's just gone like
yeah.
that.
I was like, football's done. I'm like, I want to play hockey now. That's all I want to do. And it's actually funny because when I was in Peterborough, the coaches there were like, don't be a goalie. You're never gonna make it. We have too many goalies here, blah, 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 the usual stuff. And I was like, no, I'm being a goalie from day one, always said it. And believe it or not, out of all the junior goalies I played with, I'm the only one still playing. The rest of them
Oh,
don't play anymore. But I got quite lucky actually because my final year under 17s for Southeast, Sean Easton kind of took a punt on taking me, which I don't even be playing for 3 years at the time. And I wasn't really playing much in Peterborough. I played B League for my first 2 years, so I didn't play many A League games at all, really, in under 16s. Even in 14s, I played probably like 5 or 6 games, I think, off the top of my head. I didn't play many because we were like a new team. And then Easton kind of got me into the Southeast team, and that kind of didn't go too well because the other goalie at the time, his dad was our coach in Peterborough. So I kind of got like shafted a little bit because I'd made the team and his son didn't, and all this stuff. So
British hockey politics.
yeah, luckily Easton was like, well, do you want to come to Chelmsford? Like, I've got a spare goalie spot. You're not going to play, like necessarily play. You got to
You have to
fight
battle for it, yeah.
But yeah, if you want to come here, like more than welcome. I went there and pretty much played half the games that year, did pretty well. Then the next year I was training with Chieftains, with the Warriors and all that stuff. So I think them 2 years I was in Chelmsford for under 18s were massive. I think without them, I definitely probably wouldn't even be playing anymore. Easton put a lot of time and Ben Clements put a lot of time into me, developing me, and obviously my parents as well, driving me to Chelmsford 2-3 times a week from Peterborough. That's like just for training, getting back at 2-3 in the morning, then getting back up for school, and they were getting up for work and stuff. It was definitely tough, but I mean it's paid off now. I'm getting to play hockey and just enjoy being around it full time, and it beats having a job, that's for sure. Doing the summer work as a greenkeeper, I'm not going to miss doing that.
I'm gonna remind me later to come back to a question I have about your greenkeeping job, but I do want to go into your second season in Chelmsford because looking through that senior team roster, that'd be your first crack at that. The legend is Gary Clark.
Yeah.
And how did it feel to be going out as a young goalie, that him putting your pants down on a regular basis? I would imagine that guy could snipe for fun.
Yeah.
guys like Danny Hammond, again, beauty. And just going up and down the roster, you got beauties left, right, and centre. Sean Barry, Sean Easton was still playing then. So
Yeah,
how was that experience?
That was weird because like we'd have our under 18s practice before, and then Easton would be straight off our practice as coach and then straight into his equipment, like playing with him. So it was kind of weird, like being on that end of it. But yeah, I mean, Gary Clark, he played for a long time, didn't he? He was a Milton Keynes legend and all of that. So playing for him as a coach, he was very different to what I'd had before too. And being the young kid then, I think it's changed a lot now from looking at like the younger kids. But being the kid then, you went on the ice, you didn't say a word to anyone. You kind of just stood in the corner and just shut up. It's not like the kids now that come on the ice and think they're Sidney Crosby the minute they get on the ice at 15 years old or 16 with seniors. But yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get to play any games with them. I dressed a few games. Isle of Wight away actually was my first game I dressed for Chieftains. That was an experience. Obviously, I played juniors there, but in senior hockey, that's
different when that Barnes full, eh?
Yeah, that was something. That was obviously back in the rivalry too. That was when Chelmsford were like winning everything, and Isle of Wight were winning as well. So that was kind of a cool experience. I think I was only 16 at the time when I went to that. So yeah, and obviously then I think was it my second or third year in Chelmsford, you had like Ewan King, obviously from Peterborough, Dwayne Newman. So I used to travel like with them guys to skate and stuff like that. So yeah, that was really good. They're great guys too. They've helped me massively in where I was coming. And Dwayne always said to me like never give up. He's like just keep going. And then he always said that you'll get to where you want to be as long as you just don't give up and you keep putting this commitment in. Seeing them guys obviously sinking their beers as well, the old school hockey back then.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm sure, but yeah, it's definitely that definitely opened my eyes up to hockey a little bit more, being with all those guys, and obviously it was quite an older team too, so it was a lot more old school with the antics and stuff around the room and stuff like that.
Have you ever felt a firmer handshake and 100-yard stare than when Dwayne Newman shakes a hand and looks straight at you?
Oh yeah. You know he's there.
Okay, okay.
The way he like bounces around, he's got like that bounce, doesn't he? Where he's just
he's like the always ready bounce, like the.
Yeah. It's actually he was the coach for Chieftains, I think, the year I was with the Warriors, and he'd like be in his tracksuit, like diving in front of shots, like blocking shots. Like I'm like obviously a young kid in the net. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Didn't care. Like takes all the painkillers in the world just because his body's just destroyed. But yeah, I remember the first game I ever went to for Phantoms. I think it was him and Remps both went toe to toe with people in the old EPL years ago. I don't know what year that would have been, but
that would have been Mark Williams, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Chucky.
You'd always
the
know
Romford Peterborough. That was their own.
Yeah,
and Sharpie as well. So
Sharpie,
yeah, Sharpie. That was a game that Dog fought Sharpie and Remps for Mark Williams. Fucking Jesus, that was two big boy tilts.
Wally went and sat on top of the net. I remember I sat right behind him. I remember him. He didn't even get down for the face off. He just stayed sat on top of the net. So you knew like something was going to happen. But yeah, I think that was the first game I ever watched. And
I can see how you got hooked, by the way.
Yeah, that was it was a great game to watch for a first game, that's for sure.
Because obviously you talked about being like a footballer. You must have just walked in and been like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is unreal.
Well, the thing is, I hadn't even like heard of an ice rink before I went like 2 weeks before to go skating. So I didn't even know this sport existed. Like, obviously, once I knew about it, I saw it all over Sky Sports at the time because that's when I had like Newcastle Vipers and people like that on there. Was it Friday nights on Sky Sports? But yeah, it's definitely very different. About the minute I saw it, I knew I wanted to be a goalie too, with all the painted masks and that stuff. That got me hooked. So yeah, it didn't take a lot to get me hooked, that's for sure. Football didn't last very long after that.
So sorry, Adam. I was just going to say, so in 2015, 2016, you actually moved back from your stint with the Warriors and with the Chieftains. You signed for the Phantoms, which was the EPL then, a couple of games with the Islanders in the NIHL too. 8 games that year. The following year, you move on to have pretty much like a number one job. You play 27 games. How important were those 2 years going back to the Phantoms at the EPL level and not only just being there, but getting games and developing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I never really got the chance with Chieftains. So in my head, I was kind of like, there's no more progression for me here, because I'm clearly not going to get a chance because I hadn't in the 2-3 years for Chieftains. And I kind of thought I needed to make the move. But then luckily, it's actually a weird situation. I think Stevie Johnson at the time saw one of my parents in like the mini Tesco Express somewhere and said, "Oh, the new Phantoms coach is like looking for another Brit goalie or something like that." And they told me, and straight away I was like, obviously growing up following Phantoms and being like a fan of them, I was like always wanted to get on there. I think my second year in Peterborough, I actually went on with Phantoms for one session because we trained before and one of their goalies got hurt 2 minutes into practice, and I was watching and they were like, "Get your kit back on, you can come on." So me
Zip it
being a
on.
young kid, I was back on that ice in 10 minutes, and I think that was like Warren Tate and everyone like that was on the ice then. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, once I got the opportunity to go back, there's no more 2 a.m. getting home from practice and stuff like that. No more sitting in a car for 3 hours to and from practice and stuff. So yeah, it was a great experience. And then luckily that Yanis Alzins that was there, he was lights out. Like, he was unbelievable. He came in that first year and they won the treble with not treble, they won the playoffs with him and stuff like that. And being around that team then, I was more with the Islanders then, I think, but being around that team that won that playoffs and stuff was like amazing. And luckily to me, Yanis kind of took a really big liking to me, which I think helped me more in that game, the year where I played 27 games. Because whenever he was hurt, he basically said to Slava, like, you can trust this, like, you can trust Adam, like, he's good enough. And he put a lot of time and effort into helping me. And like, even the games I played, he'd still come watch and he'd be down into the room after and he'd say, change this slightly, look for this. And like that was massive. I remember the first game I think I played that year, I came in, I was still quite young and not much experience apart from like an IHL2. And it was Milton Keynes at the time when they were like powerhouse in the EPL, and Frankie Bakrulik and all people like that. And everyone knew that guy could shoot a puck. And he's like, just don't worry about it. He's like, he's going to be shooting from everywhere. Just stay big. And yeah, he come in, he's like, I'm not playing, I'm hurt. And I was like, oh, nice to know. Didn't know anything until I got to the ring. So literally 2 hours before the game, like you're going in, you're starting from the start. And
Probably done you a favor. Don't have to think about it then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I don't like to think about it anyway. I'm the most laid back person anyway. I just go into it, chill out, and just have a laugh. So that's the way I look at it. And whatever will be, you know what I mean? Like, everyone makes mistakes, and that you just got to forget about it and move on. But I think that game we might have lost 2-0 or something like that. But like, for me, like, okay, we lost 2-0, but at the same time, I like 2 goals against one of the top teams when we were like a mid-table team at the time. It was like a big achievement. And then I think that was the year as well where Telford were like ridiculously good.
Red Hockey Media.
Yeah, the Red
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I got quite lucky because the next day we were playing Telford at home, and we went up a few goals, and the boys were playing like unbelievable. And then it went back to 4-4, and we got into OT. And in my head, I'm obviously still inexperienced. I was kind of like, oh, we're playing Telford, like overtime, 3-on-3 or whatever it was at the time. Luckily, managed to get through to a shootout, and then I still remember to this day, like, somehow I'm like, they had, I think it was like Satek, Silverthorne, and whoever else was on the power play, like these all like legit imports at the time, and we managed to win in the shootout, which was like the first biggest win I think I had in Peterborough, which that kind of got me playing. I think after that it was kind of like, oh, like he is capable of doing it. I remember like selling on one knee, like down the ice and stuff after I saved the last penalty shot. But yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah, there were the times when there was a big fuck you against Telford, especially with the money being thrown around, and like, yeah, their lines were ridiculous.
Yeah, winning that shootout against Telford the year where they were stacked, and yeah, I'll never forget. I was going down the ice on one knee, fist pumping and celebrating, which I guess goalies don't normally do, but I was just full of adrenaline. Like, I just wanted to get that win, especially against a team like everyone was raving about Telford, saying how good they are, and Peterborough playing British goalie, they're going to get smashed and all this, and then to go and win that game was something else. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, I got really lucky in Peterborough because Yanis put a lot of time into me. I actually went over to Riga and stayed with him for a week and a half or 2 weeks and did a training camp with him. Like Mustakovs was there, and a few of the Latvian national team goalies. Like, they were all like doing this camp and stuff. Like, he got me invited over to that, so that was a cool experience. Like, going out for beers with them guys, and like you got NHL goalies like Merzlikins dropped in, I think, for one day, and that kid Lennox, the young kid, he came in to help like one day and stuff like that. That was a pretty cool experience. But that also opened my eyes to how, at the time, like little the goalie development is here. So when we went on, we did like an hour and a half skating in the morning, pure skating, no shots. It was just all skating, like boards to boards, like sliding,
Technique.
handling pucks. Yeah. And then in the afternoon would be all the shots and the drills. So that kind of opened my eyes a lot to like the development that needed. But obviously, I'm glad now that the juniors are getting a lot more development with like
Kingy
Kinger
and stuff.
and the Clancy's and Darlow and everyone that's all putting the time and effort into to kind of promote that. I think it's a shame that every club doesn't really promote that, because it is something that's kind of neglected. And at the end of the day, like if you have a good goalie, then it gives you half a chance to win any game. It doesn't matter how well you play. But yeah, I got really lucky, and like I say, now it's paid off. I've managed to get where I am. I had a little setback when they dropped the EPL to the NIHL. I kind of got released from Peterborough, but luckily Hull took a punt on me, and I did pretty well in Hull. So yeah, that was good. We didn't quite win the league, which is a bit disappointing. We bottled it on the last weekend.
Sheffield won that year, right?
Yeah, well, we went away and lost 1-0 to them away, which we only needed 1 point that weekend to win the league. We lost 1-0 away, and then on that Sunday, admittedly, I didn't probably play my greatest. I think we lost like 6-5 or something like that. But it is what it is. You can't dwell on that stuff, and it's all a great learning curve. And then, yeah, the following year, I think that was when I went to Invicta. That was probably the biggest mistake I ever made. I think it was hard because I was studying a lot of the time, and I only practiced once a week. And like, I've gone from practicing 3 times a week in Peterborough and Hull or wherever, and to practicing once a week, and obviously being on a team that's,
you don't feel as sharp, do you?
Yeah, you don't feel sharp. And obviously our team in Invicta was new to that league. They'd stepped up from the NHL 1, which is a massive step up because a lot of the EPL guys were still in them teams. So when you're facing 70, 80 shots a night, and I didn't have the time to go to the gym, I didn't have the time to put in off ice because I was studying, I was doing my teaching degree. So I was working in a school Monday to Friday, doing my degree alongside it, planning lessons, marking books, whatever it may be. Like, yeah, that was really hard for me. And then obviously I left them at Christmas, kind of like on a mutual agreement, because I was struggling, and I think as well they had another goalie, so like it kind of made sense financially for them to not be paying for my fuel to and from Peterborough to Invicta every week, which isn't cheap. And then luckily, Mark Beggs messaged me and managed to get me into Manchester, so that was kind of like my into
The Elite League.
Elite League. He watched me play in Swindon and kind of said like, unlucky, like not really much more you could have done, like great game. And then he messaged me about 2 weeks later after I got released, asking if I'd found anywhere. And initially my plan was kind of just to have Christmas off because it was right before Christmas, and enjoy it with my family, like get my studying kind of back going again, and then kind of look maybe to try and go somewhere like local, a bit more locally, whether it was to drop down to NIHL2. But yeah, then Manchester luckily put a plan in place. I trained with them on a Friday, went up on a Friday, trained on Friday, stayed all weekend, did the games, and then came back. So obviously that year was kind of tough because I didn't skate much. But then obviously the following year, Manchester wanted me back full time. So then that's kind of where it all started now with the Elite League and stuff like that. So yeah, it's that them 2-3 years going from Peterborough to Hull to Invicta to Manchester was kind of a bit crazy. I felt like I was all these North Americans that get traded every week when you turn up to practice, and it's kind of like, oh, you're going now. And when you're young, it's obviously hard to take. You don't really know what to do. But yeah, that's tough. But I mean, you overcome them things, and I guess as any hockey player, not just a goalie, it's how you deal with that mentally, isn't it? And you just get on with it, and you move on to your next place, and just try and be the best you can.
You got to play with Mike Hammond the first year in Manchester. Obviously, we lost Mike this summer. There's been lots of like emotional tributes and really nice words said about him. Is there anything you can kind of touch on with moving into that roster and having Mike, who led the team that year, by the way, 75 points, absolutely lights out?
Oh yeah, he was an unbelievable player. Like, obviously that was my first year in the Elite League too, so I'd never really been around people like that. Obviously, I've been around like Clarkey and stuff during his hockey schools and stuff like that. So I saw like Clarkey was obviously an amazing player, and all the coaches he got in, like Corey Nielsen at the time. But actually seeing like people like Hammond in practice when we're doing shootouts and stuff like that, you don't actually realize like how skillful these guys are until
Silky.
see them like then not no pressure, messing around, doing like shootout moves and stuff. Like it's actually like ridiculous how good these guys are. I don't think people give them enough credit because you only see a small snippet of how good they really are in a game, right? It's like in football when you watch them in warm up, they're doing all these skills and stuff, and then in the game you're like, oh, he's not very good. But yeah, Hammy was a great guy. He's obviously it's sad to see to lose him when I woke up that morning, especially after the Alex Graham news as well. That's a big summer for hockey, and then myself as well. I lost a mate a few weeks ago as well, which was only 26. Like between those like guys, it just shows you like how lucky we actually are, and how you just need to enjoy everything you've got, and how easy it is to obviously happen these days. But yeah, Mike, well, looking with GB, look at the success he had. He scored some massive goals. I went to the World Championships this year when they played against Italy.
He was unbelievable in that game.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Yeah. And Tedesco played for Italy as well, so I wanted to make sure I got there. And obviously Benny and Lacko at the time that I played with, and Hammy and everyone else. But yeah, it's definitely a big loss to the hockey community, and yeah, it's really sad to see.
How good was Kieran Long that year, by the way?
Oh, he was unbelievable. Like
60 points.
Yeah, obviously I played against him in the EPL, so I kind of knew like what he was about. But then in Manchester, he just kind of like excelled. That rink, I guess, just suited him down to a T, and everything he seemed to shoot just went in. Like he was unbelievable. Playing against him as well the following year when he went to Belfast and he took a shootout shot against me, and the whole time he's like giving it to me, but luckily he didn't score. But
oh really?
Yeah,
mate, that kid is nasty on a penalty shot.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. But
like do you know what's weird? Like normally in a penalty shot scenario, I would give the advantage to the goalie in a 30 to 70 ratio, maybe. Like if that guy gets 3 shots on you out of 10 at that level,
yeah,
fair fucks. The way Kieran is on a penalty shot, I'm going 60, 70 to 30 in his favor because he is filthy. I remember his first game as a maybe 15, 16-year-old playing up for the Swindon, might have been the Lynx then. It was before I'd even been there. And they get into a penalty shootout with Slough. And Slough might have even been Chelmsford, I can't remember. Anyway, Greg Rockman's in there. And they put out the 15, 16-year-old kids to take a penalty shot. He skates down. And this is like the start of like Facebook and Twitter and all. It's like, you know, like the late 2009s, 10s into that sort of early 12s, 13s, that sort of early time when Facebook was going. And I remember getting off the ice afterwards and they're like, have you seen what Kieran Long just did to Rocky? And he comes down and he's like, boom, over there, over here, boom. And you're like, this kid is fucking still playing under 18s at the weekend, and mate, every penalty shot I've ever seen him was nasty. So the fact that you stopped him, bravo to you. I've got 2 really hard questions. Which would you like first? Hard or harder?
Let's go harder to start.
Harder to start. Right, you're a third string.
Yeah.
How is that on your mentality and on everything that goes alongside that stuff that maybe fans don't appreciate? You still got to be there every game. You still got to be there every training. You still got to be there, but chances are you're not going to play at the weekend. How is that for you, both mentally and as an athlete, where you're not quite getting in that mix as much as you would like?
I think it's hard. Obviously, stepping up to the elite league, like I kind of did all right in the National League and the EPL, so I was kind of like thinking if I need to make a step up, I need to do it. So obviously going from playing quite a lot of games, that I was in Invicta, I was playing most games, and Hull and Peterborough, I was playing a lot. To not playing, it is hard. Like you do lose like your feel a little bit. Like it takes you a while to sometimes get it back in. But I guess you just need to just focus. Like you don't need to think about the weekend. You don't need to think about the games. It's just kind of like turn up every day, just be happy, be cheerful, be there for the boys whenever they need it, have a good laugh.
Glue guy, be a glue guy.
Enjoy it. Like if you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to enjoy it, because obviously everyone wants to play hockey and it is hard. Like knowing that you're going all the way to Scotland from Guildford on a 10-hour bus trip and then 10 hours back on the bus to then play again the next day, and the chances are you're only going to be on the bench. But I think for me, it's I just enjoy being around the boys. Like obviously I've made great friends here through the 2-3 years I've been here now, and I love the area too. Guildford's a great place. And I think I'm probably going to be living here anyway after the season and stuff, whatever I do with hockey. So I think that helps too. Like I just like everything, like you get treated well here. Like it's a great place to be in. Like if you ever need anything, people are there. I know Fergie that you've had on the podcast, like being captain, he's a great guy too. Like if you ever need anything, like he's always there to help you. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think when I was in Manchester, I really struggled a little bit more because I wasn't around the team all the time as such. Like we were very isolated where we were living. Whereas now, like I've come to Guildford, it's kind of like refreshing in a way because we're all together. Like everyone's doing stuff as a team. Like there's always guys in and out of your front door and coming and watching the football and stuff like that. Or like on a Sunday night, we head to one of the houses, have a few beers, and put the American football or the NHL or something on and stuff like that. And I think it's more like the off ice that keeps me doing it because, yeah, we want to play. And actually, this year I did think about stepping down to the National League and trying to get some minutes in that. But just for me personally, with my girlfriend working in this area and everything like that, nothing kind of suited this year. And Digger still wanted me, luckily. So I thought it'd just be another good year. Just come here, try and better myself in practice, and obviously in the gym too. That's the hard part, I think, like dragging yourself to the gym and doing all these workouts, knowing that the chances are you're not going to play at the weekend when, like, let's be honest, like sometimes working out when you're hurting or aching is like not fun at all, is it? Especially when you got a 2-hour practice afterwards and stuff like that. So I think that's the hard part. It's just keeping yourself motivated to work hard and keep working hard. And I think the thing you've just got to think about is like it's the team, right? Everyone's there to win something. They're there together. If you think individually, then the chances are you're not going to win anything as a team. Like,
Good attitude, mate.
that's the thing. You just, a team always first. Like I'm the first person. Like if someone comes off through the gate, I'm like, oh, like great shift or unlucky and stuff like that. Like you just got to boost the boys up. Obviously, we go through like tough times and stuff, and when guys are tired and stuff, you just got to keep the energy high and just have fun. And obviously, I love my football too, like I was saying before, and I try and get a lot of them to like the matches, and they love the atmosphere. They can't believe like how the fans get separated because there's fights and stuff. Because obviously in their sports, they're all like mixing and stuff, and they love it. Like we went to an England game. I think it was England Germany last year when it was 3-3.
Yeah, cool.
Wembley, and they like just stuff like that. It's more the off ice stuff. Like you make good friends and the socializing, and like in the summers it's hard because you don't have that when you're used to being around like 20-25 guys all year for 8 months, and then you go into summer to maybe 1 or 2 guys. Like
you might get a couple of rounds of golf a week with maybe a guy or 2 guys, maybe here or there.
We've been here for 2 weeks and we've played like 3-4 rounds of golf. Some guys played yesterday and stuff like that. So like I think it's a lot of the social aspect that's kept me here, that's for sure.
Okay, second hard question then. You touched on being against the import goalies, but the one thing that stands out for me in the entirety of this conversation is how important Yanis was to the development of your career. Now, this has been my argument the whole time when we've talked about import goalies, yay or nay, was exactly what you just said. How good is it for a young Brit when they go into a roster with a proper import who does take the time, who does make the effort and does want you to be better? How much better is it for a Brit's development to do that with a guy that's maybe played Slovak Extra League, Czech Extra League, Alveskin in Sweden versus a British guy that you probably go, I'm just as good as you. I could beat you. I'm better than you.
Yeah. Obviously, like I think if you're gonna bring a Brit goalie in, like it obviously is great because you can learn off them. Like me and Eamon and Taz, we all work really close together. We're always talking about goals or like in practice, like helping each other. Like when I'm in the net, I can always hear Eamon like shouting at me, like dude, like one little like bad habit I've got. He's always shouting at me in my ear, and like that does help you because there's a lot of stuff when you're playing, like from yourself, like that you do that you could be that a slight tweak could make you 10 times better just in that situation. It's like it is important, I think, with any goalie tandem that you need to work close together and have that. And I think in the National League, like you say, yeah, if there are import goalies, I think they should still put a rule in that your Brit needs to play so many games, because I think the problem is It's not that I'm against the import goalies. That's not what it is at all. I just, not being obviously a goalie myself, you need to have that game time to be able to stay in shape and to read. Like, obviously, the reading of the game is very different in like a match situation to like training. Sometimes, so you do need that to happen. But what I just don't want to happen is then everyone bring import goalies into the National League, and then the goalies just, you get a young kid that they bring in that's 18 years old. They can pay him no money. It's cheap for them. Don't have to house them because they're local.
Yeah.
Play
Exactly.
5 minutes a year or something like that. Like, obviously, I'm in that situation now where last year I didn't play at all, but I've kind of been there and played at the same time. So like for me, it's not so bad, but I wouldn't recommend to any young goalie right now to jump straight to the elite league if the chance gets given, because for development, I just don't think that's the right thing. But yeah, I mean, if they brought import goalies into the second league and teams did, then I think to work with them, it would be great. And obviously that pushes you to be better than them because you want to earn that spot back, which there's plenty of goalies in that league that can do that. Which, like, a lot of the goalies now they're very good goalies. Like, you got Headley, you got Curlin, you got Gospel, Brad Day. All these guys have been there and they've been in the elite league and around it, and they've got that experience. So they're all more than capable. But I think the younger guys coming into that league, like, I know Marzi and Peterborough works really hard with Ewan King and that Tyler that they've got there. So
Yeah,
that's
he's
kind
good.
of a partnership for them, because Tyler's learning a lot from Marzi, but at the same time, he's going to get some ice time like this year. I know he played a bit in preseason and stuff. So that's how it should be. I think as long as there's like a development plan still for that Brit goalie, then it's probably not the worst idea. But at the same time, like, yeah, goalies need to play. If Brit goalies aren't playing in National League level, then I think it is hard to like develop beyond that. I know a lot of goalies now, young ones, are going abroad to play, whether they're going to like North America. Europe's even a great place to play because although it's not a hard hitting game over there, it's very skillful. So you have to kind of respect the player a bit more, which is what the game's all about, right?
Especially
So
for your goalies, right? You don't. It doesn't
yeah,
matter to you how physical the game is. You want the best shooters shooting on you, and if you go to
yeah,
Europe, you're going to
exactly,
get
yeah.
them.
It's like you were saying about Longer before. Like, if you go into Europe, like, all these kids out there are
Like
they've
that.
all got hands. They've all got
Yeah.
these toe drags and the stop starts and the Datsuk moves and the Michigans and everything like that. So I guess it kind of keeps you that patient on your feet to like read the play a bit more. So I think that's a good idea for if people can afford it to go abroad now. But then again, it's all down to cost, isn't it? Even in this country, hockey's not cheap regardless. I'd hate to even think what equipment costs these days, because especially goalies, it's what, £200-300 a stick or whatever they are now, and it can break on the first shot. Crazy.
If Brody thinks any time in his life that he's going to walk into my fucking gaff and go, Dad, I want to be a goalie, he's going to stand there and go, get fucked, lad. Nah, no. How about no? Absolutely not
Hats off to
happening.
all these parents that do it. It's not even
Savages, mate.
It's the monthly fees and the fuel up and down the country, and
then you grow 4 inches in 3 weeks, and then now they
Yeah.
need a fucking 34+1 and a brand new blocker and catcher because your hands have grown out of medium mitts. Now you're in the large mitts.
yeah, exactly.
And
And then all these junior stuff, they break easy and stuff like that. So yeah, I think an import goalie can be an advantage as long as it's used correctly. I think but that obviously then's down to the coaching. That's where the coaches need to speak to that import in their contract maybe and say, right, you've got to work with the Brit, whoever it is, to get them playing, and they're going to play 25% of the games, 30% of the games, which I was very lucky because the only reason I probably played was like Yanis had a lot of injuries. He was quite injury prone, but I think after the first few games, I kind of proved that I'm more than capable to do it. So then I guess once you've got that trust, it's a lot easier for the coach to be like, oh, Yanis, like, your groin's hurt and you sit out for this game, and Adam's going to play. Like, it's probably a lot easier for that. But I guess unless it's like any Brit goalie in the elite league, unless you've been given that chance to prove yourself,
Ben
then
Downs.
yeah, like you can't do anything. Like, there's probably like Heads, for example. He played for quite a few games for Coventry, and
Look good.
from what I saw, he did really well. Yeah, he's okay. Like, people are probably like, oh, he's not quite an import, but he's never
No,
gonna.
he's not. But it means you can have a third import on your centre as a forward.
That's what I mean.
Like,
Yeah, but then, like, obviously with travel too, like for us, it makes sense to have 3 goalies. Yeah, it's tough on a Brit, like for me, because like practicing with 3 rotating and stuff can be tough at times, like when they're doing power play stuff and you kind of just watching and stuff like that. But
down the far end, getting one time was taken off his collarbone.
yeah, you got Benny coming in onesies head high around your shoulders. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them things, isn't it? It's as long as you've got the right mentality and as long as you work hard, then like you're fine. It doesn't matter too much. Yeah, the game shape's not quite there, but as long as you're listening, working hard, and working on your game, then you can't really complain.
Right, we've kept you for a while. I promise you now. I imagine the Champions League's probably done now, but we're going to lead in some cheesy questions. Mark, hit us off. It's a little bit different with the goalies because obviously you guys are a little bit different. So, Mark, where do you want to go first here?
Right, you might have already touched on it already, Adam, to be honest, but who has been the best goalie partner?
Oh, goalie partner. I think Yanis for more the coaching side of it, but I think playing wise, that's hard. I mean, the guys I'm with now, Eamon is unbelievable. Like he was around the like AHL and NHL setup, so he's got all that experience with like the Marlies and stuff like that, and it shows for himself. He had an unbelievable year last year as well, and Taz coming from college, kind of seeing a different side of it. Like they're two completely different goalies, so like that's kind of cool to see. But then Matt Ginn, even in Manchester that I played with,
legit.
He was lights out like that. Our Manchester team gave up a lot of shots, and he was always there like to battle it. And again, he's a guy that's come from like was it Boston Providence or wherever it was. He played in the AHL and been around all them setups too. So I think coaching wise and development like Yanis, but playing wise, it's probably either Matt Ginn or probably Eamon that I'm with now.
Nice. Right. Saying coaching wise, let's go overall then. Who's the best head coach you've played for?
Oh, that's hard. I think
you can give a couple of shout outs. We're not super strict here.
Sean Easton's probably the biggest one in my career that I've maybe had because he put a lot of faith into me with the Southeast under-17s.
Took that chance.
Year. And then obviously taking me into Chelmsford too and getting me to train with Chieftains and Warriors when he had the other goalie there that had been there for his whole junior career. It's like a ballsy thing to do kind of in a way because you don't want to people when you're young. But then at the same, he's probably one of the best coaches I've had for like development of like goalies. He put a lot of time into goalies and he wanted to learn about like goalies. So that was when he got Ben Clements in to help us like coaching. That was when Ben started when I was there. Ewan King was a massive part of me too through the Clark & Co camps when I was younger. He put a lot of time and effort into me, and obviously being in Peterborough, he helped me a lot. Slava was, I guess, I got to thank him too for the opportunities that he gave me in Peterborough because he could have easily just, if Yanis was out for a month, he could have easily brought in probably someone else and played them or someone with a bit more experience. So I guess it's best coach for me is probably Sean Easton overall, just for him giving me that opportunity when I was 16, 17 years old, because without that, then there's no chance I'd be probably even playing now. So yeah, definitely him.
Mark, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, this is a super cheesy one though. Who's the toughest guy that you've played with or against?
That's my favorite.
You're part of Manchester. When you're at Manchester, they had a few tasty guys.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We had some big guys. I think Gags. Gagnon's probably the outright toughest guy I've played with, and he's an absolute beauty too. Like great guy. And that Dane Byers as well. My first year I was in Manchester, he was very tough too. So Dane Byers was pretty tough. So between Gags and Dane Byers, they're probably the two toughest that I've played with.
Quick story about Gags. And he's one of the ones that the Elite League Twitter fans want to give shit every week because he's playing against you, etc. When myself and Bandy did the thing with Raise the Sunshine charity and took young Zach up to Braehead, they were playing Manchester. And prior to the game, Braehead, Fitzy was head coach, so another beauty. Finno was head coach of Manchester.
I think I played actually.
Yeah, you might have been actually. Yeah, that's probably 20. Yeah, you'd have been there.
Yeah, I would have been. Yeah.
So fucking epic. Gags was the first one. Straight over to Zooms. Come in the room. Get over here. Let's shoot this shit. Yeah, you can come and meet this guy. And everyone's like, this guy is such a fucking prick. I'm like, you have no idea what a guy this is. He is a
Yeah.
gentleman. He just happens to be a gentleman that's very good at punching people in the face.
The one thing I've
Like,
found with that is like a lot of these guys that are the fighters and the tough guys, they are the nicest people. Oh, actually, I've just thought I used to skate with Milton Keynes the first year when they had Matt Nickerson.
name stuff.
He was something else too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another guy. I forgot about that. But even again, he was like, I know obviously he got suspended for a stupid amount of games for his Guildford incident, but
Yeah.
he was like the nicest guy ever as well. Like whenever you was out, he's always there for you. Like if you ever need anything, he was always there. Like Gags was the same. Like I remember when Gags signed for Manchester, I got asked to go pick him up from the airport, and I was kind of like, oh, obviously I've seen all the fights and heard about Nottingham and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but I picked him up from the airport, and we went down to Clarkie's camp in Widnes and coached for the day. But yeah, they're all great guys. I mean, it's just their job, isn't it? Like all these tough guys, like generally they're there to do their job. That's their job at the end of the day. Like everyone has a role in the team, and just happens to be that they're the ones to stick up and protect each other. But I'll never forget Gags. He used to go and brush his teeth after every fight. He'd always be like, "Oh,
Make
fighting
sure they're
leaves a
still
bad
there.
taste." He's like, "No, fighting leaves a bad taste in my mouth." And I'm like, the minute you said that, I'm like, "Okay, I know this
This
guy's
guy's different.
yeah, this guy's different. Yeah, he can stand there and just take a punch to the face."
But as
Uh,
long as he brushes his teeth after, he's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
don't worry
If
about the
he got
black
into
eye,
the
the
room, he
broken
was
nose.
straight in there to brush his teeth. Yeah.
Right. One more question, and it's the one we like to finish with all the time. It's the cheesiest of the cheesy. It is a story for the boys. It could be something from the road, it could be something from wherever you like. I mean, we've had some pretty good stories over the years from those Guildford team houses, none more than Terry Miles telling the story about Ricky skiing climbing. So get back to the team house, and they try to get in. The house is locked, and tells Skeeny goes to tell. You got the keys? Like, no. Front pocket, back pocket check. Nope. Skeeny's like, nope, I haven't got them. Windows open upstairs, so he's like, climb up the drain pipe onto the porch through the window. And this was the time that Skeeny was still a young man, so he had trials to go play in North America. And little do you know that Skeeny decides to swan dive backwards onto the concrete and break his wrist. And then Tell goes, hey, he pulls him out of his back pocket. He's like, I got the keys here.
I bet he
Skeeny
was
couldn't go
not
to
happy
Canada
after that.
because his fucking wrist was in 9 bits. And
Oh,
so Tell just lets himself in. But so, yeah, we've had some good
that's
stories from.
crazy.
I don't know if it's still there, but those boys, you have to like talk to Tell and Jez Lundeen and all those guys. One of the houses in Guildford had been kitted out with a bar in the garage, and they used to call it like, I can't remember, like Bar 42 or something. It was whatever the address was. But yeah, no pressure. But we would love a story for the boys to
Um,
finish us off.
there was a good one from juniors actually. When I was in Chelmsford, we went to Amiens in France,
Brilliant. Let's go.
and it was like a Christmas tournament that we went to, and we're obviously all like 16, 17. You know what lads are like when they get there, and we're in the hotel room, and like when we first walk in, we see this like massive group of like girls, probably like our age, and obviously boys being boys, you're all like, oh, look at these, look at these. So we're all like that. But then our parents are obviously hearing us all say this, and they're like, you're going up to your rooms, blah, you're not going out and all this stuff. Because we're only like 17 years old. Like we're not even old enough to go out. And we're all like in our rooms, and we're like popping our head out the door to see if our parents are there to try and sneak out to try and find these girls. And then one of our boys looked out his bedroom window, and there was like a roof from like the bar was under like right outside the window. So he kind of, I don't know how it happened, but he kind of like looked out his window, and the girls were like looking out their window too. So then we started like speaking through the windows. Next thing I know, I turn around, and some of the boys have tied all the bed sheets together, and they're scaling up the outside of this hotel room. So two of them got up there, I think, into this girl's room, and like all we hear is this like thud, and like they're obviously like dropped the things back down. But then we were kind of like, well, how are you going to get back down now? Like dropped all the things. Then they got quite lucky because one of the other lads snuck out. Two of the lads snuck out to a bar, but they came back pretty quick because one of them fell over into like a ditch, and there was a big like metal pole. So we had a massive hole like taken out of his like leg. So we walked back into the hotel room. So all the parents are like distracted with him. the minute they're distracted with him, we're like sneaking the other boys downstairs, and it was just absolute carnage. Like these parents, they had no idea, and then eventually they clocked onto it all, and yeah, we all got a bit of a telling off. But watching these guys go up the side of a hotel room in snowy conditions
Spider-Man.
in the middle of France just to go and see some girls. I think they were like a basketball team or something. Like, yeah, some basketball team or something.
Yeah, I'd climb up the side of a building for the basketball
Yeah,
girls.
that was a bit crazy. That's especially when you're so young too. You do anything, don't you? You just love it. So yeah, that was a bit of a crazy time.
Especially for a story for the boys. Absolutely love
Yeah.
it. Ladies and gents, do not forget to subscribe. Make sure you comment on this and all the usual stuff. You can go, look, for once, instead of me saying you can go to 4,000 accounting slash buy me a coffee slash 4,000 accounting, if you look at Mark's screen name today, he's actually very cleverly put the link in the screen name. So 4,000 and coup, apparently, whatever that means. It just means that they didn't want to give us the link we wanted, but you can donate there. We have more interviews coming thick and fast. A former teammate along as actually Finley Ulrich tomorrow. So ladies and gents, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're coming back longer. Thank you very much for all of your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck for the rest of the season here. I'll say the rest of the season, the whole season. And hopefully we'll see you again at the charity game in 2024, my friend.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, definitely count me in for that game. I'll be there.
Love it. Mark, it's been fun.
Nice.
Peace.
Peace.